Hi and welcome back. Today I'm Mindy Went and we have Janine Bospeth from Speech Perfect. We have Moana Robinson from Be Style for Life, and today we are interviewing Barbara Clifford, the Time Tamer. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
Lovely. So I understand today we're going to be talking about lots of things about time management, and what do you have for us at the moment in these changing times?
Well, the interesting thing is that the environment that we're working in or that we're adjusting to, the parameters and the rules have changed. And so it's really easy to let things slip. More than ever, I think now we have to create routine. We have to create a structure and a timetable. I'm a big one for blocking out my calendar for things. Too often what happens when we're prioritizing our work or things that are important to us is that we say to ourselves, I'll fit that in when I can. And then things will slip in, like an episode on Netflix or doing a load of washing because we're at home. And the next thing we know, the day's got away and we haven't done the things that we need to do. So I think it's really important, whether you have an electronic diary or a paper diary, that you actually block out times for things that you need to attend to. Now, you can always move those unless it's an appointment with somebody, but you can move those if you need to. But you're making a conscious decision or an appointment with your subconscious if you're putting it in your diary. So it's really, really important to maintain that routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hey, Valerie.
Got Valerie joining us. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. It's Valerie O'Neill and joining us, and we're chatting to Barbara about time management.
I'm just wondering, do we find any bad habits slipping in? Are we losing things like, are we sleeping in? Are we, finishing work early? What sort of bad habits can we expect and how can we stop them?
It's a really good point. Moana was talking about it before in terms of keeping a level of routine in terms of professionalism. So getting up and going for your walk still, having those kind of time frames, and being a little bit disciplined. So getting dressed like you are going to work is still important, even though we're working from home. I know for myself that I'm always a work in progress. I'm bad at managing my time and my stress so that I can be good for my clients, is what I say. So I'm always improving and learning. And I know I went through a habit of just getting up in the morning, turning the computer on, having my breakfast and coffee and getting into the day. And what I found was that I could not concentrate. And it wasn't until I went and had a shower, got dressed, put my game face on, and then sat down that I went, right, I'm in business mode now and I can concentrate. And likewise, it's really important that what I do is set an alarm on my phone, and I set it for 9 o'clock at night, and it says tools down, stop. So even if I'm working on my business or doing things, at 9 o'clock, I have to stop. And that gives me enough time to wind down, because that research has shown that if you're in front of a screen, it can take 2 hours for those stimulating hormones to slow down. 2 hours. So 10, 11 o'clock, that would be by the time my body is ready to go into that normal sleep state.
Yeah,
if it's 9 o'clock and I stop. Yeah.
That makes a difference. And I imagine the knock-on effect for the next day as well, because I'm an early riser. I'm a routine person as well. So I like to get up at 4 a.m. and I knock out a few hours of work before the rest of the house wakes up. So I get my stuff done straight away. I have a cup of tea and off I go. And then I have brekkie, get the kids going and start that process. But I've got my routine.
It's a really good point, Mindy, is that it's about adapting to the environment. So for those people that are working from home and they've got kids and they've got all that distraction, it's not dissimilar to the office environment when you're trying to get stuff done and then suddenly there's people are knocking on your door, the phone's ringing. So I say to people, get the most important stuff done early in the morning when your brain's alert and when people aren't wanting you. Probably by about 10 o'clock, phone rings, emails, there's traffic. So it would not be dissimilar at home. And if you can get up really early and get a lot of stuff done before you have the homeschooling situation or the husband coming in, we've all experienced this, mine was coming in before, then then that's a way that you can be productive. But like you said, it's got to be routine. You've got to create routine.
Definitely. And for me, I got to get to sleep. Otherwise, I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Can I ask a question about your natural body's, is it biorhythms? Do you know much about that, like working to what you naturally like to do? You know, some people are morning people, morning person, some people are night people. Do you think it's good to work with your natural rhythm?
I do.
Like doing things?
I do. And what I recommend to people, a coach taught me this, is to actually track your energy levels. Find out, you can actually monitor. It's a good idea at different periods throughout the day to monitor where your energy level is at. And it's sometimes good to look at what's happening around that. For example, I know about 2 hours after lunch, particularly if it's carby, my concentration's right down, and I know that that's the worst time for me to do something that has a high level of concentration. I'm actually really productive at night as well. I don't switch on. I'm an early morning person, but my brain doesn't kick into gear. So nighttime is when I can get a lot of stuff done. By then I'm really wired and thinking things through. That's why I have to have that alarm to stop me. Otherwise I'll just keep going and then go, oh my God, it's midnight. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely tracking where your energy levels are. And a lot of people say you should do the most important things when you've got a high level of concentration. I would suggest that when you're at your peak and when you're at your best, that's the time that you need to be doing things that are complex and difficult, because you need that brain energy. And then do the menial things like filing your emails or cleaning your desk or whatever when you have the low level of concentration, when you can't think because you're feeling sluggish. Put aside those tasks for those times.
Great tips. Thank you. And good question, Moana. Valerie, do you have any questions for Barbara?
No, I don't have any questions for Barbara.
That's okay. Easy done. We can pass straight over to Janine if you like. If you're getting all your answers in, that's great.
Just a comment. It's not just when you're working, it's when you're working out as well. I know if I go for a walk in the morning, I can really pump it out. But sometimes it's much more convenient to do it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I know I feel, my body feels tired then, and I can't walk as fast, and I tend to shorten it as opposed to doing it first thing in the morning. So again, I think at this time when we've got more opportunity, that we're not racing from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, that we've got time to think about what's going to work best for me. And then when everything gets back into, well, I don't want to call it normal, because I think we're going to have some major changes come through and some major shifts, but when we get back into life as we used to know it, we can go out and do things, that we are more consciously aware of what works for us. And I think if we can take that away when you're talking about time, I think that's a really important learning during this time when we are restricted to what we can actually do and pay more attention to ourselves.
Janine, it's a really good point, and I think the concept of time and workplace time and personal time is going to change. As we were talking about before, is that with so many people working at home, there's going to be a lot of industry where the 38-hour week, the 9 to 5, is not going to be like that, unless it is the gardeners and the daylight and the construction. But for a lot of business and a lot of industry, it's going to be based around productivity. And there's a likelihood that will continue afterwards. And interestingly, like that beautiful video that you shared the other day, is that this has given us a heightened awareness. It's forced us to stop and change and slow down, and it's heightened our awareness of what we do with our time. What is most important in life? Who are the people we hold close? And why aren't we spending time? Why aren't we talking to those people? Why are we rushing everywhere and stressing and not just stopping? And so hopefully this is a time where we can become more aware and mindful about the time and the quality of time that we have, whether it's exercising or spending time with family. I think we have a heightened awareness around that.
Yeah.
That is a huge point, actually, because I know